As the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, I would just like to take a minute or two to address my sisters in Islam. My dear sisters, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tests us and tries us, and as we hold on to our iman, likewise, my sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will test you and try you. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored you, my dear sister in Islam. You know, we hear of the wife of Imran mentioned in the Quran, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that she had vowed that her child in her womb would worship Allah. And so when she made this vow, she assumed that Allah will grant her a boy, a male child. But when she gave birth to a female. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, فَلَمَّا وَضَعَتْهَا قَالَتْ رَبِّي إِنِّي وَضَعْتُهَا أُنْثَى. When she gave birth, she said, my Lord, I have given birth to a female. Meaning what? Meaning even though her expectation was a male, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her a female. Now did she say why? Did she say, no, I wish I had a male? No. She said, وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا وَضَعْتُ. Or in one recitation, Allahu a'lamu bima wada'at, that Allah is most aware of what I have given birth to, meaning this happened by the divine decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is wisdom in Allah that my child was not born a male, my child was born a female. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us, وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرُ كَالْأُنْثَى, that a male is not like a female. What is the message here? The message here is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my dear sister, has made you a female, and the female has an honor and a way of worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that men do not. This is why we find who was this daughter that was born to the wife of Imran. It was none other than Maryam alayhi salam. وَإِنِّي سَمَّيْتُهَا Maryam. She says, I have named her Maryam. And today, Maryam alayhi salam stands as an example for all women across the world. Even non-Muslims recognize Maryam alayhi salam. My dear sisters, yes, your challenges may be different. And yes, women and men have a lot in common, but we are not the same. We are equal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we are not the same. We have many differences. And you will find people telling you that differences make you bad. But our deen teaches us that Allah has made us different so that we may strengthen one another. The way you, my sister, can worship Allah and submit to Allah and sacrifice for Allah is different than the way I can submit and sacrifice to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it is only when we come together, it is only when we uplift one another, when the men uplift the women and the women uplift the men, that our ummah becomes strong. Who is persevering in Gaza? Is it just the men? Or is it our dear sisters who are holding the fort? Our sisters and our brothers working together. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ بَعْدُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ, that the believing men and the believing women, they are allies and protectors of one another. That is the strength of our ummah, my dear sisters, and this message is from our brothers as well. That as we look at our ummah being divided, we have to stand together. We have to be there to support one another, and our differences is what makes us great.